And you're live.
Good morning, Summa scholars. Today is Tuesday, March 18th, second week of Lent. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
You watching do not know this, but I just walked in the room. Just got in the chat or whatever you call this thing, studio. Right, Joe?
Yes.
Did you think that this is the day Craig doesn't make it?
No, I thought that came through my mind yesterday when you were like 5 or 7 minutes late or something like that. But
Was I late yesterday?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I remember because of your alarms.
Cause what?
Because of your alarms.
Oh yeah. I didn't know I was late though, but
Yeah,
whatever.
you were.
For those of you who are eagerly in front of your YouTube or whatever it is, and you're like waiting for that 7:15 mark, can't wait to hear Craig's voice, which we know from our impressions or whatever you call it, we know that that's exactly nobody. Nobody's waking up early like us, Joe.
It's true. It's true.
Well, today was not a no alarm day. Today wasn't up at the alarm with the alarm day, but um, I was doing morning prayer, and I guess I just kind of lost track of time, friend. I apologize.
No problem.
Normally I would have morning prayer done earlier, and I did not. I was looking through the day's page and lost track of time. But I think this does bring up an interesting thing, though. When we start doing it earlier, even
Mm-hmm.
when are we thinking about doing that? By the way, moving from 7:15 to 7 or whatever.
When you come back to Stewie.
Ah, yes. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to get up, wake up even earlier, and then drive down the hill. Get into my vehicle, drive down the hill, go to a place.
We
That's
could
going
just
to be a
quit.
hunt.
We could
We
just
could
quit.
just quit. You're right.
Can't remember that option. You can't forget it.
Guys,
Forget
write
it.
in the comments if you want us to just quit. Oh gosh. So yesterday was the feast of St. Patrick, of course, and I, as I said, maybe I didn't. I don't know. I watched it. Oh, I did say it in the locals video that I made yesterday. Did you know that I did that, Joe?
No, I didn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow this on locals, craigkinsey.locals.com. And I've now, through Joe's gracious counsel, have learned how to upload videos to locals. So you may have created a monster, Joe. Yesterday, I had the Shire music on, as I love to do when I'm feeling that consolation from the Lord that I can only explain as feeling like I'm in the Shire. I turned the music on. I made the video showing what I was making for St. Patrick's Feast, which was a wee bit of a pot roast.
Mm.
And I'm here to tell you something. Now, steak is good, and you know that I can sometimes do pretty well with the steak. We're not going to talk about that cheeseburger the other day. I still feel a twinge regarding that cheeseburger.
Okay.
Guys, I built up this cheeseburger because I've been working on perfect cheeseburger and everything. I made the buns myself, fresh out of the oven, butter, Mylar effect, da, da, da. And I blew up these cheeseburgers. Wait till you taste them. And then Joe's over here, and so I make these burgers, and it's they're smash burgers. So they're supposed to be 30 seconds on each side, give or take, depending on intuition. But for some reason, doing work with Joe, uh, having Assassin's Creed on, whatever the reason, my brain said what I normally do when I'm standing at that station, which is making steak. A steak is like 3 minutes per side. So I did these little thin smash burgers, 3 minutes aside. It came out like hockey pucks. It was terrible. And then Joe's over there. He goes, "Pretty good, dude. Pretty good." And I knew from his voice that it wasn't.
That's not true. I liked it.
Oh, also, I didn't put the honey in with the bread with the yeast, and so it didn't rise. The yeast didn't foment, and so the buns were flat. It was a total catastrophe. I mean, yes, I they did taste better than maybe the lunch lady's food in school or something. I don't know, but anyway. But yeah, so I still feel a little twinge about that, but I wanted to make a correction with yesterday's talk about the wonderful Saint Patrick. And that is, I said that he went to an island for 40 days to pray. I knew something was wrong with that because Ireland is an island. I mean, you can still have an island outside of an island, archipelago or whatever. But it was a mountain. The mountain was called the Reek, Reek. That's what they call it around there, the Reek, or Crow Patrick, Crough, Crow Patrick. And I guess crow means mountain in Celtic. But yeah, he went up this mountain for 40 days. And it was very interesting, Joe, the way that tradition works and folklore.
Mm-hmm.
On this documentary I watched, one of them, they went to this mountain, and I guess there was another mountain in front of it or something, and the question was, which path did Patrick take? Like, are we walking on the actual path of Patrick? So they were like, he could have went over this first mountain, or he could have went to the left or to the right of it. So they go to the cities, the little villages on the left side of the mountain, and they ask everybody, is there any tradition of where Patrick walked? And nobody in those villages said yes. They were like, I've never heard anything. We don't know. So then they go to the other side of the mountain, and this woman sees them looking for stuff, and she says, "What you looking for, laddies?" And they said, "Well, we're trying to find if there's the path that Patrick took getting to Crow, I guess Crow Patrick or something. I don't know, whatever place they were at. I can't remember because there were so many cities and places that they talked about where Patrick was." And she goes, "Well, I don't know, but I know that my grandfather used to go out and kiss this one stone that's out in the field here. And he called it Patrick's Stone. And I've just done it all my life too." And so they went out, and it was a marker stone, like an ancient marking stone for the path that the Druids would walk. And so this woman's family, just down through the centuries, it was on their property. They would always kiss this old Druidic stone and call it Patrick's Stone. So they were like, well, and then they heard other stories on this way. So they were like, well, it must be that he walked this path. To me, that's very powerful. That, first of all, it's very Gandalf-like. It's very D&D-like. You're trying to find the path that so and so went, and you get clues from the local villagers. But also, it shows how our modern scientific way of thinking, like, if you don't have an exact reference written in a book that he walked this path, then we don't count it. We don't accept the old lady that kissed the stone. And my question is, why not? I respectfully disagree. To me, that's very clear. Nobody on the other side of the mountain has any tradition that Patrick was there. And on this side of the mountain, people talk about kissing the stone, and this is Patrick's way. Of course, it's not as clear and definitive as putting a amoeba under a microscope and seeing it split and say, yeah, amoeba split. I just watched it happen. Of course, it's not at that level of exactitude, but anyway, I accept very easily church tradition. When the people in Gaul, which is present-day France, say that Mary Magdalene and Lazarus and Martha landed here fleeing persecution in Jerusalem, and they landed here, and Mary Magdalene lived up on this hill, and that skull in the church is her skull. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's what that is.
Mm.
So we know where Patrick went, and we know that he did his 40-day fast atop the reek, atop Crow Patrick, and there was this one documentary I watched. It was so clever. When they showed where they were driving to, it was this guy who's giving a tour. All right, guys, we're going to this place and that place that Patrick went. But when they showed their path, they showed Ireland, and they drew you the little path and the cities they were going on, so you could see the upper map view. But they made the map look like the maps from Lord of the Rings.
Mm.
So it was really cool. It was like
That's
you're
neat.
going, yeah. And of course, obviously, our man Tolkien was familiar with the Irish, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of world there that we're portraying in Lord of the Rings. So it was quite beautiful just to see the confluence of traditions of Patrick, England. Patrick's from England. He comes back to Ireland. Ireland, the Hobbits, back to England. Tolkien, modern documentary with modern cameras, talking about Patrick from England in Ireland with a Tolkien map. It's just all beautiful. How God is making all of our creativity flow into beautiful, beautiful stories. How much time have I burnt as we're trying to stick under 45 minutes? Huh?
12 minutes.
And this page is going to go pretty quickly today for a couple reasons. One is because the beginning whole part of the page is just a list of what's about to happen, nothing to teach about. And then the actual teaching is pretty simple, seems to me. So I wanted to say something, Joe, about the Dunning and Kruger effect. Are you familiar with this?
No. Well, I've heard of it. Maybe once you get into it, I will be.
Years ago, I talked to my buddy Hank of the YouTube channel Pecos Hank. You'll want to check it out, Storm Chasing channel. My buddy Hank, we talked about the Dunning-Kruger effect. He had not heard of it either. I think we studied it in college. I was a psychology and philosophy major, joint major, St. Thomas. And Dunning and Kruger, of course, two scientists. I mean, if you want to call them that, it's psychology.
Ooh, spicy today.
Yeah. Guys, I studied psych in school, but still. It's not like looking at an amoeba under a microscope and seeing it split. Anyway, the Dunning-Kruger effect, they realized that people who have very little knowledge in a subject overestimate how much they know on a subject. Yeah. And the people who are experts on the subject underestimate how much they know. And they would test people over and over and over again, and this is repeatable, and the P ratio was always such that it was I'm blanking on the term. It was a effect. I'm losing the statistical term for that, but there was the P ratio was above 0.05, I think. It's consistently. So, and then there's also a little cultural thing that's very interesting. In cultures like Japan, where kids aren't raised to be told they're so special and you're so smart and you're an individual, and in cultures like Japan where humility is taught and respect for the elders, which you should think about, Joe, and things like that, humility, the community, the Dunning and Kruger effect is less in those cultures. Interesting. Dunning and Kruger effect is kind of an arrogance issue of the West, but it's still there somewhat in other cultures. So the crazy thing was the way that Dunning and Kruger came to study this is they heard a story on the news of a dude, and this is replying to what I said yesterday about milking a job, and the woman didn't understand that milk, that you're using it metaphorically.
Mm-hmm.
A grown adult in her like 50s or something, who, as I said, was successful and had done things in life and had traveled, sounding. Well, the way Dunning and Kruger, I think it was Dunning first saw it, he saw a news show about a guy who goes in to rob a bank. And he robs the bank, and then they go and pick the guy up because they had him in the cameras. They saw him in the cameras. They go and get the guy, and he thought that he would not be seen in the cameras
Mm-hmm.
because he had rubbed lemon juice all over his face.
Yeah.
And lemon juice is what you use to make invisible ink.
Mm-hmm.
So this genius thought, oh, lemon juice makes you invisible. I almost said the F word just now. I wanted to say that's so effing stupid. That's like a level of stupid. That's a special kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Guys, all I'm saying is this is why we're studying the Daily Summa.
People still do that kind of thing. Like you'll see posts occasionally if you know where to look, where people will be like, they'll have like a camera and they'll put some kind of schmutz on their face or whatever, and then they'll walk through it. And it's like a super bright light. Oh, you can't see anything, and usually most of those are like fake for sure. Because you just think about it for 2 seconds, and you're like, nah, that's not how that works. But people do think about that kind of thing often, actually.
Guys, study the Daily Summa with us. Let's learn together. Let's grow together so we don't say things like people are saying on the news and on social media all day long now. They talked about the scientists and people who discuss these things talked about how the proliferation of the Dunning and Kruger effect because of social media. Because it makes you think that you know more than you know. Okay, so we're moving out of a discussion of the attributes of God: simplicity, perfection, goodness, immutability, infinity, eternity, and unity. And you may think you're being, wow, Craig, you've got those memorized. No, they're right here. But I do plan on memorizing them. Okay, and it's a good question for the test. So we're moving out of discussing God's presence. Remember what Father James Brent said. This is a long meditation on the presence of God. We are moving out of discussing the presence of God in himself, his attributes. And now we're going to discuss how he is known by us. What is the form or nature? Probably wrong words. What is the dynamic of our apprehension of our Creator, that which is commonly referred to as God? How is he known by us? And it's an intimate question. How is he known by us? How is the husband known by the wife? So guys, let's jump into it. Question 12 of the Daily Summa, how God is known by us. And let's begin. Let's hop on this beaver galleon, sailing off into the waters of the deity. As hitherto we have considered God as he is in himself, we now go on to consider in what manner he is in the knowledge of creatures, concerning which there are 13 points of inquiry. We've got a long question. I wonder
Yeah, they
how
start
long.
getting pretty long from here in, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how long it will be till our next decade party.
Funny you should ask. I have that information.
Joe, why are you so awesome?
May 24th should be, if my math is correct, the next decade party. We'll double check my math and get closer, but May 24th. And the one after that, I think, is August
double check.
7th.
Wow, Joe, amazing.
Oh, wait, actually, Easter
See, I didn't even know.
didn't do any Easter octave. That's true. That needs to be extended for the one from May.
Ah, good thinking, dude. Yeah, see, I didn't even know that those dates exist.
What? What do you mean?
Well, I don't think in the future.
Are you gonna rub some lemon juice on your face? What's going on here?
I don't think in the future that much.
Okay.
I know that after this, I'll probably go have a pipe. May sit in the jacuzzi bathtub. We'll see. Tomorrow's the feast of Saint Joseph,
What?
husband of Mary.
What? This is easy. I'll just take the 24th of May, and I'll just add 8 days.
Are we pausing to listen to you do math in your head?
It's June 1st, actually. June 1st.
Okay.
That should be easy to remember.
Also, your voice is doing that thing it was doing yesterday, where it like speeds up and it's crackly. I find that disappointing because one of the joys of the Daily Summa is the so witty banter of Mr. Joe Murtaugh coming into my ears. Wow, the sun is really coming out. We have a bright day today. Let's get through this so we can get out in the bright day and meditate on the things we're studying. Number 1, let's go through the 13 things. Whether any created intellect can see the essence of God. That's what we'll talk about today. Whether the essence of God is seen by the intellect through any created image. Whether the essence of God can be seen by the corporeal eye. Whether any created intellectual substance is sufficient by its own natural powers to see the essence of God. Doubt it. Whether the created intellect needs any created light in order to see the essence of God. Whether of those who see God, one sees him more perfectly than the other. Whether any created intellect can comprehend the essence of God. Whether the created intellect, seeing the essence of God, knows all things in it. Whether what is there known is known by any similitudes. Whether the created intellect knows at once what it sees in God. 11. Whether in the state of this life any man can see the essence of God. 12. Whether by natural reason we can know God in this life. 13. Whether there is in this life any knowledge of God through grace above the knowledge of natural reason. These are just beautiful questions. This gives me a joyful feeling as the waves lap on the side of the boat and you hear the rustle of the canvas of our beaver galleon, and we're sailing off into uncharted waters of inquiry. Article 1, whether any created intellect can see the essence of God. Larry, up on deck. It seems that no created intellect can see the essence of God. For Chrysostom says, commenting on John, no man hath seen God at any time. Says not prophets only, but neither angels nor archangels have seen God. For how can a creature see what is incredible? Dionysius also says, speaking of God, neither is there sense, nor image, nor opinion, nor reason, nor knowledge of him. Well, okay, Larry, you got a good point. Don't you think so, Joe?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Okay. I was just wanting to know you're there with me.
I'm there with you. It
probably seems like a pretty good point.
Argument that's probably going to come up, I actually imagine.
Yeah, no man hath seen God at any time. It's right there in black and white, Thomas.
Yeah.
Come on, Thomas, quit rubbing lemon juice on your face, dude. It says it right there.
That seems more like a Shimon
objection
thing to me.
Probably. Objection 2 is Ralph, though. Let's see what Ralph's got to say. Further, everything infinite as such is unknown. But God is infinite, as was shown above, question 7, article 1. Therefore, in himself, he is unknown. I like that one. So far, I'm with the boys. Thomas, you're going to have to come up with something. Of course, obviously, I've already read the page. But. Objection 3, Shimon. Let's see what he says. Further, the created intellect knows only existing things. For what falls first under the apprehension of the intellect is being, which we talked about before. You walk out, you see the pear tree. First thing you see is being. Now God is not something existing, but he is rather super existence, as Dionysius says. Therefore, God is not intelligible, but above all intellect. By the way, the word super means supra, or above. He's above intellect. I say that because I'm picturing somebody tuning in, skeptic, atheist, who Dunning-Kruger effect, they have no idea what the hell we're talking about. And they're like, oh, he's super existence. That's what, you just believe he's like Superman. Gosh. Man, if the Dunning-Kruger effect wasn't a thing, then I wonder if the new atheists would have ever even sold a book. Objection 4. Wait, did we just do that? No. Are we on 4?
Nope, we're on 4.
Because I flipped the page. We're on 4. We're on Reuven. Further, there must be some proportion between the knower and the known, since the known is the perfection of the knower. But no proportion exists between the created intellect and God, for there is an infinite distance between them. Therefore, the created intellect cannot see the essence of God. These guys are making good points today. They must have got a good night's sleep, because they're doing much better than normal. And then here comes Thomas. He says, guys, sed contra. It is written, we shall see him as he is. Boom! Beaver mic drop. You can bring your Boethiuses, you can bring your Aristotelistices, but I'm bringing an apostolistus. The Apostle John says, we shall see him as he is. Okay, let's hear the rational response. Respondio. I answer that. Since everything is knowable according as it is actual, God, who is pure act without admixture of potentiality, is in himself supremely knowable. Well, that's interesting, Thomas. Because he's pure act, that makes him supremely knowable. I thought it was pure act makes him wholly other. Therefore, that would lead to unknowableness. Obviously, I've already read the page, guys, but I'm just wanting us to think about these things. Let's keep going and see how Thomas clarifies. But what is supremely knowable in itself may not be knowable to a particular intellect. On account of the excess of the intelligible object above the intellect, as for example, the sun, which is supremely visible, cannot be seen by a bat by reason of its excess of light. Okay, then how are you going to get it to where we can see God, Thomas? What are you doing on this chessboard we're all watching here? Therefore, some who considered this held that no created intellect can see the essence of God. This opinion, however, is not tenable. I like that because you hear so many people say that nowadays. Like in the cigar lounge, coffee shops, you hear it on the news. That's not tenable. This thing that so-and-so politician's doing is untenable. For as the ultimate beatitude of man consists in the use of his highest function, which is the operation of his intellect, if we suppose that the created intellect could never see God, it would either never attain to beatitude, or its beatitude would consist in something else besides God, which is opposed to faith. For the ultimate perfection of the rational creature is to be found in that which is the principle of its being, since a thing is perfect so far as it attains to its principle. Further, the same opinion, okay, let's not go further. Remember what we said about perfection? You get the piece of wood, you're wanting to go out camping and you want to build a fire. So everybody forages for wood, you bring it back to the campsite, all the guys and fellas are standing around and watching their bro start to build a fire, and he's putting things in the shape of a cone, and everybody's watching how he's do it, trying to think about airflow. Watch that one there, that one's cutting it off, that one's probably too big, we use that one later, set it aside, and then finally you get to a point where everybody goes, that's perfect. That's the kind of perfection we're talking about. Everything is, we're teleological. Everything is moving towards a telos, a purpose. And what Thomas is saying is our highest faculty is our intellect. And the intellect desires to know. And the thing that it desires to know most is God, that which is commonly referred to as God. That's what everything is leading to. All of the things of this earth, every time you watch a video game and you say, this video game sucks. Why? Because I don't care what happens to the characters. When you're saying that, you're saying, and there's numerous other reasons you might not like the game, but they all have to do with pulling you towards some final revelation. That's why you want to see the end of the story. That's why you turn pages. What's in the box? That's the engine of plot, as any good storyteller will tell you. It's what all the teachings are on writing a good novel. You first tell the crowd there's something in the box, and then you hide the box. That's what we would do with the sideshow tramp shows. I had studied a bunch of stuff about medicine shows and old ways of getting the crowd interested. So we would do stuff like that on stage, but it's all the same idea. That's how we're created. And what Thomas is saying is, if the whole shooting match, the whole meaning of everything is to see what's in that final box, then it can't be that you can't see what's in the box. I mean, that's his argument. It must be our intellect is made to peer into the boudoir, to peer into the marriage bed, and to actually unite with it in our intellect. That's what this whole thing's going towards. Further, the same opinion, and that's also why God has to hide and do so many things to keep us there, because the thing that we're moving towards is very, very intimate. It would be gross to show it. Just think of the main metaphor we have for the kingdom of God, which is the marital bed, marital act. It would be very gross to show it to those who are not fit to receive such a gift. Further, the same opinion is also against reason. For there resides in every man a natural desire to know the cause of any effect which he sees, and thence arises wonder in men. I love that. Let's read that again. It's so beautiful. For there resides in every man a natural desire to know the cause of any effect which he sees, and thence arises wonder in men. The lack of childhood wonder is when you begin to harden of the heart. You begin to not care. That's also the evil side of being cool. It's the cool that's not cool. It's like, I don't care. I don't care, dude. Yeah, I'm above all that. I've stopped caring. I've stopped having wonder. I'm so cool that I've stopped caring. No, you're just dead inside and not fun to be around. But if the intellect of the rational creature could not reach so far as to the first cause of things, the natural desire would remain void. Hence, it must be absolutely granted that the blessed see the essence of God. Now, it's an interesting argument, because to me, it's not a fully rational argument. It's an argument saying, if this, then, and the if is, if our intellect desires that, then God will show it to us. It's sort of based in the kindness and love of God, and it's based in the way that we naturally work in this world. It's a very reasonable argument from what we see and know in the world and how humans work and how the world works. That's again what I've told you all about Thomism. It's deeply embedded in realism, in the reality of visible world. That's why these things are the beginnings of modern science. Okay, let's just read the reply to objection 1, and we'll be done. And we'll see if I made it below 45 minutes. Reply to objection 1, he's going to tell Larry, both of these authorities speak of the vision of comprehension. Hence, Dionysius's premise immediately before the words cited. He is universally to all incomprehensible. Oh, he goes back and shows what Dionysius said before Larry started talking. We like it when people do that. You skipped an important part, dude. Man. So he goes back and says, Dionysus said he is universally to all incomprehensible, etc. Chrysostom, likewise, after the words quoted, says, he says this of the most certain vision of the Father, which is such a perfect consideration and comprehension as the Father has of the Son. We will not be able to know the Father as the Son knows in the complete perfection of it, nor will we be able to comprehend God's eternity because we are still finite. So we won't be able to stand outside of God, in effect, and just see everything. But we will be able to gaze in wonder, an eternal, satisfying wonder on his essence. What a tremendous gift. He is the gift-giving God. And it's been a gift to be here with you all today. And it's going to be a gift to say fare thee well and go start my day. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. And Joe, thank you for being here with me this morning.
Glad to be here, buddy.
Did I make it under 45 minutes?
You did. We're at 36 minutes.
Wow. How does he do it? Have a wonderful day, everybody. Goodbye. We're done.